So there was this one instance where this one kid who went to high school with me, this is something that I emphasize a lot on my channel, but I truly do stand by it and stick by it. Sometimes you just need to shut off your brain so that you can come back 10 times harder. It's gonna be really hard, in my opinion, to get through the 4 years without even having 1 or 2 people to talk to. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here, welcome back to another video. Today I'm really excited to be filming a what I wish I knew before I went to nursing school / what I think everybody should know before they go into nursing school. I've seen a few of these videos circulating around now, especially with back to school season, and I figured why not film this video but with my own twist to it, because I do think that I have a few things to say that other people have not mentioned necessarily in their videos, and I feel like I can maybe come with like a little bit more of a real approach. Not to say that the other videos aren't real, but I feel like they're really like clean, cookie cutter, professional, kind of general things. And although I do have some of those things in this video too, I feel like I have some other things that are a little bit more like getting to the nitty-gritty and a little bit more real. You know what I mean? So just a fair little disclaimer, I do still have a little bit of swelling going on both my face and my neck from the surgery that I had about a week and a half ago. So we're just kind of making do with it. So if you notice anything weird or off about my face or my neck for that matter. But anyway, before I do get into it, I just want to let you guys know who I am in case this is your first time stumbling across my channel. I am going to be a third-year nursing student literally next week, and I'm really excited. So I'm studying my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing at the University of Ottawa, and I've just been documenting my journey to RN here on my YouTube channel. Also a little bit on Instagram now too, so I'd love if you guys would subscribe, follow me on Instagram, join this little family of ours, and see where this journey of mine takes me. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. So my first tip, and kind of my first thing that I wish I personally knew before I started nursing school, is that it definitely is harder than it looks. We see a lot of like influencers or people we know who are in nursing school, they kind of show you what they want to show. So whether it's, you know, the nice pictures in their scrubs, or maybe you've seen like a vlog of a day in the life of a nursing student and you see how cool it is with them going to labs and clinical, it really makes it seem like nursing is so much more like easy and glamorous than it is. I definitely think obviously social media is a highlight reel for a lot of people, and including myself, I really do try to show the best parts of nursing school. Of course I do talk about mental health and anxiety and stuff, but it definitely is harder than it looks. And I think on the other end of it, there's people who are not in nursing school who kind of generalize it and kind of say things about it and kind of make it seem like it's easier. One thing you guys have probably heard is that nursing is just like an easy way into the healthcare field, and there's a lot of things that people say that I feel like make it seem like nursing is so easy and being in nursing school is just really easy and everybody can do it. But at the end of the day, it's really competitive, it's hard to get in, it's even harder to stay in the program, and there really is a lot of time and effort and things that go on behind the scenes that people don't necessarily show you or people don't necessarily talk about all the time. So it definitely is harder than it looks. The next thing is sort of piggybacking off of the previous one, but there will be ignorance. I know that nursing is seen as a very respectable profession, and I know in Ontario it's been ranked like the most respectable profession. I forgot what year it was in, but it is really seen as a profession that many people respect. But on the other hand, there are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about nursing school and the profession that aren't very nice. You're going to hear people say things like, you just went into nursing because it's an easy way into the healthcare field, or you went into nursing because so and so told you to, or whatever the case may be. And I've personally dealt with this both from people in my personal life and then people who I don't know so well, and I figured I'll add that little story in here. Actually, in first year, I don't know how it is at like your university, but I go to Ottawa, and there are a lot of people who go to Ottawa who studied here like for high school or elementary school or middle school or whatever the case may be. And so for a lot of us, whenever we go to the bigger libraries, we kind of just go sit with whoever, just because it's always packed and you want to try to get a seat. So whether that means sitting with people who you just kind of briefly know from high school or like acquaintances, you're just trying to find a seat anywhere so you can sit and get some work done. So there was this one instance where this one kid who went to high school with me, who like literally never had classes with, not my friend, not in any social circles that I know of, like literally just acquaintances, came and sat down with one of us, and it was, I think, the beginning of first year, so maybe just a few weeks in, and we were all just talking about like our programs and just things that you talk about when you start university, like about school and your classes and how you like your program and stuff. And this person in particular asked me what I was studying, and I mentioned nursing, and this person studying biopharm had a lot to say about nursing, saying that, you know, well, isn't nursing like the easiest science, and isn't that like the easiest STEM degree, and like all these things. And in the past, you know, I used to try to explain myself and justify things and kind of try to like argue with people and sort of feeling like I have to legitimize my program, but I stopped doing that, and instead, like in that moment, I just asked the person like, oh really, like who told you that? I never heard of that. And the person literally had nothing to say. Like they literally were like, oh, you know, I don't know, like isn't it just like a known thing? And I was like, known to who? Because I've never heard that. Like that's really weird. Who told you that? And they literally had nothing to say, and they just sat there looking stupid and eventually just got up and left. So there will be ignorance all the time, and it's just kind of how you deal with it. Stop trying to explain yourself, legitimize, justify your program of choice or your career choice or the nursing profession. I know we get defensive because for a lot of us it's a career that we really want, and it's a career that we've dreamt of being in for years, but it's not really worth it to kind of fight every troll. And I feel like instead just try to make them look stupid at the end of the day. So there will be ignorance, and that's fine. You just kind of have to learn like how to respond to it and how to deal with it, and just like not let it get to your head at the end of the day. The next thing that I have to say is office hours are not scary, and they can actually become your best friend and such an amazing tool and resource. So if you guys don't know, office hours are hours that your professors or your teaching assistants or your lab instructors or whatnot put aside just for students to come up to them and like ask them questions about the material, the course, the content, like etc, etc. In previous years, like before COVID, you could just go in person throughout the office hours and go to speak to your professor, but then in COVID they would just do them over Zoom, so even easier. So what I realized is a lot of students don't really go to them. With COVID, I did notice that more students started to show up because it was a lot easier, like more accessible and what have you. But honestly, it does help you form a connection with your professors to a certain extent. Like if you're always going, they're gonna get to know you and can get a lot of help. In first year, I really did struggle a lot with one of my courses, and I went and I spoke to my professor, and this professor was somebody who everybody kind of didn't really like, or this professor was just a little bit daunting. And I went to office hours and I spoke to her, and she just had some really nice words of encouragement for myself, and she could tell that I was in nursing, and she literally told me, you have a great work ethic, don't worry about, you know, your struggles right now, you're going to do great in nursing. And this wasn't even a professor who is in the nursing field. This is actually a professor who teaches at the medical school. So those words of encouragement have really stuck with me, and now going into my third year, there are things that I always remember, and a lot of strategies that this professor told me in terms of learning and recalling information that I use throughout second year as well as first year, and I'm going to continue to use throughout the rest of my studies. So you never know what you can get from office hours, and they're really not something that you should ever be scared about. The next thing is to network, to socialize, and to make friends. I know for some, nursing might not seem like the profession that you really want to network in necessarily. It's kind of like everyone's pretty much guaranteed a job after undergrad. Nursing has such a high employment rate, but to a certain extent, you really do need to network, and you need to know people, and you need to be able to socialize with people to help get you through your 4 years. In my opinion, when you go to clinical, make sure you're socializing with the group members in your clinical group. Talk to them, get to know them, whether you have to make like a Facebook group. It's really nice having people to talk to when you're struggling, or just speaking to people that understand your struggle. It's gonna be really hard, in my opinion, to get through the 4 years without even having 1 or 2 people to talk to. So just by networking and socializing, you don't know where you'll end up. I actually ended up in a really nice group chat where we all help each other a ton, and I've actually even been reached out to by a few people asking to join like their clubs and their organization and things like that. And those things can look really nice on your resume as well, and it's just a really nice way to speak to people, get to know people. And honestly, you want to take away something from nursing other than just like your skills and placement and all this information about human anatomy and physiology and diseases and stuff, you know? Like you want to be able to take away networking skills and socializing and knowing a few contacts and connects here and there. The next thing is normalize putting yourself first. I think, especially somebody like myself, I spent a lot of time trying to please others and living for other people and trying to put other people before myself. I know it can be really hard to not do that if that's something that you've done for years, but it comes to a point, and I feel like especially in nursing school and in university, where you need to put yourself first. So whether that's not going to hang out with your friends once in a while because, you know, you're really stressed for an upcoming exam, or whatever the case may be, putting yourself first is the most important. Unfortunately, what I found is once I started to put myself first, a lot of people and I are no longer close anymore. People who I consider to be close friends are just not close anymore. anymore, and it's because I started to put myself first instead of them, and then they just like didn't really reach out, didn't really make an effort, and we're not really close friends anymore. And that's sad, but it just shows you that putting yourself first will lead to successes and will ultimately kind of have people kind of exit your life that might not be the best for you. Or maybe, you know, you're just wasting time on people who don't really value your friendship or whatnot the way you value it. You know what I mean? So normalize putting yourself first. It's okay. Don't worry. So the next thing I want to say is that like a school slash work life slash social balance is very much necessary. You can't just stay cooped up all day, every day studying. You need to have balance in your life, whether that's, you know, going out here and there with your friends or working out or whatever it might be. You really need to have that balance in your life because you're just going to feel so burnt out if you don't. And especially with nursing, with having labs, clinical, theory, and etc, everything can pile up really fast, and if you don't give yourself those breaks and that balance with everything, you're going to burn out so fast, you're going to feel exhausted, and it's just not going to be a good result in the end. The next thing is that nursing has many opportunities, not just at the bedside. I know in undergrad a lot of people don't know what they want to do once they graduate, and that's totally fine because we know nursing has many opportunities. You never really have to settle for any specialty. You can change your specialty if you don't like it. You have so much flexibility with choosing where you end up. But just know, if bedside nursing isn't for you, or if it's not somewhere that you can see yourself being for 20-30 years, that's totally fine. There's a lot of opportunities working with the city, working with the government, and things like that that don't require you to be at the bedside all the time, or really at all, if that's what you're into. The next thing is that mistakes happen and failure is normal, and you just can't beat yourself up about it. Whether you're at clinical and you make a mistake, or whether you fail an exam or a test, it's fine. It's just a little setback. You'll still end up where you want to be regardless of failing or making mistakes, and you need to be okay with failure, because if you fear failure, you're always going to be scared, and it's not worth it in my opinion. Like, if you fail something, you just have to accept it, you have to move on. And mistakes and failure, honestly, I think help with people's character development and can make you a lot more self-aware. So just normalize failure, normalize mistakes. It's okay, and it's all about being a student, and it's all about the learning process. The next thing is it's okay to need help, and it's okay to ask for help. This is something that I put off for so long, really for about 1.5 years in my nursing school career. I finally got the help that I needed in second semester of second year, and I can say it's been the best decision I've ever made. So whether it be help mentally or whatever the case may be, if you feel like you need some academic accommodations or you need to go speak with a professional, get the help. It's okay to put yourself first and get the help and ask for help. You know, you don't have to do this all alone. You have resources out there for you. You have classmates, you have people here that want to help you. Just know that it's totally okay to need help and to ask for help. Kind of segueing or piggybacking off the last point, mental health days are necessary. It doesn't really matter how frequently you need these, but it's really important to have a mental health day. Sometimes you just need days where you don't do anything, you don't look at your textbooks, you don't think about school, you don't do anything, just chill. These days are necessary for everybody's well-being. I personally feel like I benefit a lot from these. I took them all throughout high school and even in university, and I just think it really helps you kind of just relax and chill. Sometimes you just need to shut off your brain so that you can come back 10 times harder. And the last thing, and this is something that I emphasize a lot on my channel, but I truly do stand by it and stick by it, and I definitely think this is something that is very crucial and a really vital part in succeeding in nursing school, and that is to ask questions. Whether you are in clinical or in lab or even just a theory class, there's no harm in asking questions. If you're a little bit nervous to ask in front of other students, you know, 50, 60, 70 students in lecture, then you can always email your professor or attend office hours as previously mentioned. In clinical, you just really need to ask questions because you're essentially there taking care of live human beings, and patients might not be as forgiving. Honestly, if you do make a mistake, you don't even know about the circumstance. Sometimes not asking questions can lead to a fatal mistake and a fatal result in the end. And same thing in lab, when you're there to learn, ask questions. You want to perfect your skills while you're in nursing school. You want to feel comfortable with what you're doing, so when you go to clinical and when you go in the real world after graduation, that you do have a grasp on the things that you've learned. learn. Just ask questions, whether it's asking friends or professors, lab instructors, acquaintances, like whatever it is that you need to do, ask the questions. And that's also why I feel like socializing and networking is important. So you have people to reach out to, you have people that you can ask questions to, and you have basically some sort of a foundation of support that you can go to whenever you need help. But that's basically everything that I wish I knew before I went into nursing school. Of course, I feel like there can always be a few other things that I can sprinkle in here and there, like how important it is to be organized, how important time management is, and how it's better to just be over prepared than under prepared and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of people mention that in those videos. I also have a lot of like study tip videos and stuff for other classes where I mentioned stuff of that sort, so I didn't want this to be just like a big repetition of things I've previously mentioned. So I do hope that you guys were able to take away something from this video, be it one thing, two things, or everything. I hope that you guys were able to take something away from this video, and hopefully it makes you feel a little bit more at ease in regards to going to nursing school or whatever the case may be. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It helps the algorithm, it helps my channel get out there more, and it's just a free way you guys can support me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.